Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us, PTL, watching all over the World Wide Web, the FM AM dial, and we appreciate you making us a part of your afternoon. And, of course, the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, and many other platforms, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. So we appreciate all of you joining us, and we got a big show lined up for you today. So a story that's made national news. A TikTok user recently revealing that she was fired from her position at Starbucks over her Christian values. Her name is Taylor Trice, and it has to do with using proper pronouns when it comes to transgenders. Now, as I said, it's a story that's made national news, and Taylor Trice will be joining us coming up at the bottom of the hour. I get in these types of discussions with people all the time, and we'll see how this one goes, but we'll be talking to her coming up at the bottom of the hour. Hillary Clinton making an appearance on the Jimmy Fallon show. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of Jimmy Fallon, but Hillary said some interesting things, and we're going to play the audio for you where I completely 100% agree with her when it comes to the choices between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. A lot of people, and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, we're taking sides when it comes to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Some people are making it a racial issue, right? Some people are making it the left versus the right issue, which I find completely ridiculous, right? But there's more controversy coming out from last night, and the controversy is, I guess it shouldn't be one, but it is one, because people are saying, oh, the LSU basketball team didn't get out there and stand during the national anthem. It's not something new. They've been doing it all year, but for whatever reason, people on the far right are going after them for it. We'll talk a little bit about that, even though I am not a defender of Kim Mulkey. In fact, I think she's a complete moron. She's a good basketball coach, but as a human being, I'm not a big Kim Mulkey fan. So we'll talk a little bit about that and talk about other topics. But I wanted to start with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as you know, running in as an independent. He just picked his vice presidential running mate last week. And one thing I will give Robert F. Kennedy Jr. credit for is, he'll do interviews on maybe some networks that are not as kind to him as others. But he did an interview on CNN. And he made some statements that lead me to believe that he's coddling to the MAGA voters. Because he was asked about the threat to democracy. He was asked about Donald Trump's threat to democracy, which I think is evident. All you have to do is go back and look at January 6th, talk about how he wants to rip up parts of the Constitution, which Donald Trump said himself. But it is mesmerizing to me that somebody who has been a lifelong Democrat, and this shouldn't even have anything to do with whether you're on the right or the left, that you would say that Joe Biden is more of a threat to our democracy than Donald Trump. It is absurd. Here is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in his own words on CNN claiming that Joe Biden is more of a threat to our democracy than Donald Trump. Have a listen to this.
Democracy. And the reason for that is President Biden is the first candidate in history, the first president in history that has used the federal agencies to censor political speech, so to censor his opponent. I can say that because I just won a case in the Federal Court of Appeals and now before the Supreme Court. It shows that he started censoring not just me. 37 hours after he took the oath of office, he was censoring me. No president in the country has ever done that. The greatest threat to democracy is not somebody who questions election returns, but a president of the United States who used the power of his office to force the social media companies, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to open a portal and give access to that portal to the FBI, to the CIA, to the IRS, to CISA, to NIH, to censor his political critics.
Not true. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not telling the truth. This wasn't about censoring. This was about incitement and medical misinformation. This wasn't about having political opinions. That's not what this was all about. What Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is referring to is people that would go on social media and spread, example, COVID misinformation. So, for example, if you went on social media and you claimed you had a pill that cured COVID. There's a local talk show host in Las Vegas, and I believe him to be a despicable human being. I don't believe it. I know it. His name is Wayne Allen Root. as I like to call him, Wayne Allen Kook. And years back, he went on social media and he claimed he had a pill that, quote, cured COVID. That's what he said in his own words. Obviously, he did not. And he was trying to peddle a pill because he was getting paid for it. So what happened? The Attorney General sent him a warning. Rightfully so. You can't go on social media and claim that you have a cure for COVID. You can't go on social media and say COVID is fake, you shouldn't wear masks, or, claiming that something works that doesn't work is far more serious. And a lot of people sadly did that, and people lost their lives because of COVID misinformation. You can't go on social media and incite violence, right? There are people that still do that to this very day. Heck, Donald Trump is doing it, right? Putting up pictures of a judge's daughter, giving out addresses, putting out imagery of Joe Biden hogtied. That's incitement of violence. Now, of course, Elon Musk doesn't care about that. But when Joe Biden did this stuff, it wasn't about censoring political opponents. It wasn't about censoring people because you don't like their political beliefs. It was about incitement of violence and medical misinformation. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. won't talk about that because everything that comes out of his mouth when it comes COVID and vaccines, usually right-wing conspiracy theories, but he believes them to be true. That's what this was about. It wasn't about censoring Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It was about the good of the American people in not spreading medical misinformation and incitement of violence. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is lying. Joe Biden didn't just get up one day and say, boy, that guy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he has a real chance of beating me, so we got to censor him on X. We got to censor him on social media. If you listen to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that is what he's trying to lead you to believe. That's a lie. It's not true. But people still believe it. Now, the idea that anyone, for that matter, especially somebody like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but anybody would say that Joe Biden is more of a threat to our democracy than Donald Trump is a moron. Joe Biden didn't incite an insurrection. Joe Biden isn't attacking our justice system and inciting violence. Joe Biden didn't say he wanted to rip up parts of the Constitution. That would be Cheeto Jesus. Now, the interview continues, and here's a little bit more. When Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was challenged on CNN yesterday, here's a little bit more about what he had to say.
Donald Trump, of course, tried to overturn a free and fair election. He tried to overturn one, right? He's still fighting in court.
Yes.
How is that not a threat to democracy?
Well, I think that is a threat to democracy. If him trying to overthrow the election clearly is a threat to democracy. But the question was, who is a worse threat to democracy? And what I would say is, I'm not going to answer that question, but I can argue that President Biden is, because the First Amendment, Aaron, is the most important. Adams and Hamilton and Madison said, we put the guarantee of freedom of expression in the First Amendment because all of our other constitutional rights depend on it.
My head is about to explode because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing what so many people on the far right do when they talk about the First Amendment and when they talk about freedom of speech. Is it that people don't understand what the First Amendment is and they don't understand what freedom of speech is? Or are they intentionally lying? Let me explain to the right-wingers out there, because that's really who we're talking about, and somebody like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's a conspiracy theorist, and that's why Trumpers and MAGA people like Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk love him. And I've said this before on the show. Why is it that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. doesn't seem to understand it? It doesn't matter whether I'm talking about TikTok or Twitter or any social media platform. Freedom of speech doesn't pertain to social media. Elon Musk, who said, I'm going to protect the First Amendment and freedom of speech. The freedom of speech in the First Amendment pertains to the government. Why is that so hard for people to understand? The government can't interfere. Example, if I went on a public sidewalk and I said something like, COVID is a hoax, it's not real, I can prove it, or go on a public sidewalk and say, I don't like somebody because of their skin color. I don't like white people. I don't like black people. Whatever the case. You're in public. You're on a sidewalk. You're not in a private business. The First Amendment does apply to you, meaning the government can't interfere. You can't get arrested, so on and so forth. If you say something like that in a private business, it could be in a gas station. It could be on social media. That company has the right to kick you off their platform. That business has the right to kick you out of their store. How is it possible that a man who's running for president of the United States, whose last name is Kennedy, doesn't seem to understand that? The First Amendment doesn't apply to private business. And by the way, there are always consequences for the things you say. Example, if I went on social media today and I said something racist or homophobic, which, by the way, I would never do because I'm not a homophobe and I'm not racist. But hypothetically speaking, if I did, even if Elon Musk was okay with it, which it appears as though he's okay with pretty much anything, if my employer saw it, they would have the right to fire me. Do you guys not understand what I'm saying here? Freedom of speech in the First Amendment pertains to the government. It doesn't pertain to private business. If the President of the United States, whoever the president may be, Republican or Democrat, has meetings and joins forces with social media to say, hey, listen, we got to crack down on incitement of violence. Here's what we don't want. Here's what's been happening. Or if the president meets with members of a social media platform and say, hey, there's a lot of medical misinformation going up on your board. Here's how it's hurting people. We need to stop this. Here's what we need to do. And if that social media platform complies, they have the right to do so. It's a private business. It wasn't about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being censored. This was about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. not being able to spread medical misinformation, which I applaud. We're all entitled to our opinions. For example, you can go on social media, and I would disagree with you, but you can go on social media and disagree with, your governors that shut down your states or the vaccines. You can disagree with the vaccine, whatever the case may be. You have a right to do that. But you don't have a right to go on social media, especially if you have a large platform, and say the vaccines are poison and they're killing millions of people. Why? Because that's medical misinformation and it's not true. The types of things that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did when he went to Samoa. You can't do that in this country. We have rules and regulations. There are consequences for the things you say. You can't go on social media and incite violence. You can't go on social media and threaten people. You can go on social media and you can insult people. That seems to happen left and right. Maybe I'm a part of the problem there, but you can't go on social media and incite violence, and you can't go on social media and spread medical misinformation. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is once again wrong, and he either doesn't have an understanding of what freedom of speech is, he doesn't have an understanding of what the First Amendment is, or he doesn't care, and he's not telling you the truth. Either way, he's wrong. And this is the part of the interview that gets very interesting, because I know Robert F. Kennedy Jr. claims that he has a very large family, right? But some of his immediate family members, including his sister, are not only not endorsing their family member, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but they're endorsing Joe Biden. So I want you to hear from some of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s family members, including his sister and his grandson, who have been speaking out against Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I feel strongly that this is the most important election of our lifetime. And I do worry that Bobby just taking some percentage of votes from Biden could shift the election and lead to Trump's election.
He's trading in on Camelot, celebrity, conspiracy theories, and conflict for personal gain and fame. I've listened to him. I know him. I have no idea why anyone thinks he should be president. What I do know is his candidacy is an embarrassment.
That's your
Let me
family.
respond.
That's your family.
Yeah, I have a big family.
I mean, I have a bit. How many sisters and brothers do you have, Mr. Kennedy? Listen, I am. It's horrible what happened to his father. It's horrible also what happened to his uncle. Terrible. Robert F. Kennedy, I believe, would have been a magnificent president. It's a tragedy what happened to him, especially John F. Kennedy as well. I mean, just atrocious. And I disagree with Joe Biden, and I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and I'll talk to him about this, he deserves, security, especially what happened to two members of his family. So I'll take Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s side on that one 100%. And we can talk until the cows come home about members of his family who don't support him and all that, fine. But the idea to say that Joe Biden is more of a threat to our democracy, the idea of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to say that Joe Biden is more of a threat to our democracy than Donald Trump is absurd. It is ridiculous. Show me an example of Joe Biden inciting violence. Show me an example. What do you think they would say if Joe Biden went on X today and he put a picture up of Donald Trump hogtied? How do you think Republicans would feel about that? Donald Trump's the guy who said he wanted to rip up parts of the Constitution. Joe Biden didn't say that. So the only reason why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is making statements like that and saying that Joe Biden is a threat to our democracy because he's talking about freedom of speech when I don't think he clearly has an understanding of what freedom of speech is and who it pertains to. He's making the case that Joe Biden is some sort of threat because he wants to make sure that people don't spread medical misinformation and incite violence on social media. Geez, I think that's actually a good thing, Mr. Kennedy. I think that's actually a good thing. But that's why Joe Biden is a threat to our democracy is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. You can say what you want about Joe Biden. You think he's too old. You don't like some of his policies. Whatever the case may be, fine. But to say that he's a threat to our democracy, if you think he's hurting our economy, I would disagree with you, but that's an opinion. But to say that he's a threat to our democracy and more of a threat to our democracy than Donald Trump is absurd. And this goes back to what I feel when it comes to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He is on the side of the Trumpers. I went to a few of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s rallies. I had a chance to talk to Mr. Kennedy Jr. I spoke with him. I played some of that audio on the air. I can tell you right now, in the rallies that I went to, 80% of the people, probably even more than that, I'm being generous, are far-right people. I could just go by the outfits that they were wearing, the anti-vaccine stuff, and, the stuff about free speech. They might as well be wearing MAGA paraphernalia. Most of the people that support Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are not Democrats. I'm telling you that right now. They're certainly not people who are going to vote for Joe Biden, in my personal opinion. Yes, I understand it. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. picked a vice presidential running mate who is a liberal, who's donated to George Soros campaigns and that sort of stuff. Yes, I get that. Doesn't change who Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is. He did it because she's a billionaire, period. But I can tell you right now, most of the people that support Robert, I said most, not all. Yes, there are some independents out there. Yes, there are going to be some Democrats and maybe some reasonable Republicans, but the overwhelming majority of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s base are far-right wackadoodles who love conspiracy theories. The people that love to hear Vivek Ramaswamy talk when Vivek Ramaswamy says that January 6th was an inside job. The same types of people that love to hear Jesse Ventura talk when he says 9/11 was an inside job or we didn't land on the moon. The same types of people that enjoy Alex Jones when he says that the Sandy Hook school shooting didn't happen. These are the types of people that are Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s base. 100%. Who are the base of Donald Trump? Well, that's pretty easy. Middle white America that is uneducated. Am I saying everybody that supports Donald Trump's uneducated? No, I would never make that statement. I'm talking about the base of their followers, the types of people where Donald Trump said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they will still support me. Those are the base of Donald Trump, his supporters, and the base of the Republican Party today. They are conspiracy theorists. They are uneducated. And yes, most of them are white. Sorry, That's just the truth. Donald Trump got less than 50% of the black vote in 2016. He got less than 15% of the black vote in 2020. So the idea that all these black people are going to be running to the polls in November and vote for Donald Trump is a farce. It's not going to happen. It's not true. And I guarantee you he doesn't get any more than 20% of the minority vote. I guarantee you I'll make a bet with anybody on that. The base of Donald Trump's campaign, the base are idiots and deplorables. I'm sorry, the base, not everybody, the base. Uneducated people that are brainwashed, that watch their Newsmax and OAN and Fox Noise, and they believe everything out of Cheeto Jesus's mouth. Everything. E. Jean Carroll's a liar. The 91 felony counts are the Joe Biden, DOJ. He's completely innocent, and those are some of the same idiots out there that are buying the Donald Trump gold sneakers. The same people out there that call themselves evangelical Christians that are buying $60 Bibles. That is Donald Trump's base. Who's Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s base? As I said earlier, conspiracy theorists. Now, this will help Joe Biden. So I will say this. For those of you out there that are concerned that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to take votes away from Joe Biden, there might be a few out there, ladies and gentlemen, but mark my words, this is going to hurt Donald Trump far more than Joe Biden. Why? You're not going to find many people on the left, at least I haven't found many people on the left that are staunch Democrats that are saying, you know what, I don't want to vote for that Joe Biden. I'm going to vote for that guy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. You're not going to find many people like that. However, you will find a lot of people that are MAGA supporters, but maybe they're getting a little tired of Donald Trump and all the drama. And they say, you know what, I'm going to go for that guy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That is going to hurt Donald Trump. It's not going to help Donald Trump. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to help Joe Biden in November. If you don't believe me, let's wait till November and we'll see where the cards fall where they may. The idea that Joe Biden is a bigger threat to democracy than Donald Trump is a joke. It's an embarrassment and it's a joke. I don't care how many families really, family members come forward and say they don't support RFK Jr., whatever. Even though I haven't seen many Biden supporters that would come out, that are family members, I should say, in the Biden family that would say, geez, I think I'm going to endorse Donald Trump. I haven't found one person in Joe Biden's family that said that. But there are quite a few people in Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s family that have said that. These are the base of the parties. Who's Joe Biden's base? Obviously, staunch Democrats, liberals, people who are pro-LGBT community, minorities. This isn't anything new. That's Joe Biden's base. But I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why Joe Biden won in 2020 and the reason why Joe Biden's going to win in November is because of middle-of-the-road people and moderate Republicans. Because every day I speak to more and more moderate Republicans that are telling me that they will not vote for Donald Trump. Now, some of them say they won't vote for Joe Biden either, but they ain't voting for Donald Trump, and they voted for him in 2016, and they voted for him in 2020. They're not voting for him in November. It's not going to happen. Now, am I taking this for granted? Back in 2016, I thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. I really did, and I wasn't alone. Many Republicans felt the same way. She didn't. I'm not taking this for granted. I am not saying that Joe Biden is a locked deal. I'm not saying that Joe Biden's going to win in a landslide. Yes, I do believe Joe Biden's going to win in November. Probably will be close. Not saying it's going to be a landslide. I think it'll be close, but in the end, too many people that are in the middle and too many moderate Republicans I'm counting on that are not going to be voting for Donald Trump, and that will hurt him. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s campaign and Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s run for office is going to hurt Donald Trump much more than Joe Biden. I promise you that 150%. I promise you that. And listen, we'll have to wait and see, what happens here. We'll have to wait and see where the chips fall, where they may. But the bottom line here, when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says that Joe Biden he thinks is a bigger threat to democracy than Donald Trump, it's an absurd statement. Almost as absurd as when he said that the vaccines, or I should say COVID, was targeting certain ethnicity groups. Ridiculous. And, and the question I want to ask Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and I will, if you say that the vaccines are poison, right, and they're so bad, then why did you allow your kids to take them? And if the excuse is, well, they had to go to school. No, that's public school. You're Robert F. Kennedy Jr. You could have paid for your kids to go to private school. You chose that they go to public school and allow them to take poison. Folks, do we see how that doesn't make any sense? if you thought a drug was poison, or, for example, if you thought in public schools it was mandatory that your child drink a certain juice in the morning. I don't know. I'm just using this as an analogy. And you believed, even though it might not be true, you believed that the juice that they were giving your children was poison. Wouldn't you take them out of school and maybe take them to private school or, homeschool them? If you truly believe that? Well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. didn't do that. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. allowed his kids to get vaccinated. So what does that say about his personal views and beliefs? All right. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, her name is Taylor Trice. If you don't know who Taylor Trice is, her story went national. She revealed that she was fired from her position at Starbucks over her Christian values, not using proper pronouns. Taylor's going to be joining us next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Taylor right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Want safe gun reform? Ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fun account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council. With a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen, I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Big guests lined up here over the course of the next couple weeks, including Anthony Scaramucci. He's going to be joining us. Dr. McCullough, who's a controversial doctor that the right seems to talk to a lot when it comes to COVID vaccines and everything else. He's going to be joining us as well. So some big guests lined up for you. So I talked a little bit about this story yesterday. A TikTok user who revealed that she was fired from her position at Starbucks because of her Christian values. And a part of it had to do with celebrating Pride Month and proper pronouns with transgenders and so on and so forth. So I said, I'm going to talk to this young lady and find out what happened and kind of dissect her brain on that. Her name is Taylor Trice, and she joins us right now on Pushing the Limits. Taylor, I do appreciate you joining us. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, Taylor. I appreciate you taking the time to join us after work. First of all, I'm sorry about you losing your job. I certainly wouldn't root that for anybody to happen to anybody. So did I get that right? Is that a fair assessment of what happened? You're claiming that Starbucks fired you because of your Christian values?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would say that's in general the summary. Short summary, I guess. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so you're a Christian woman. Talk to me about how this came about from the get-go. When you first got the job, did you know that Starbucks celebrated Pride Month? Did you know anything about that? How did this first start? I guess that's my question.
Yeah. So one of my dad's friends let my dad know that Starbucks had tuition reimbursement. My dad is big on education, so he was like, yeah, you should definitely go for that. I had known nothing about Starbucks prior. Ridiculous calls. Okay, sorry.
That's
Someone
okay.
tried
Go right ahead. I got you.
Yeah, I had known nothing about Starbucks except that it was known as like a bougie coffee shop. Prior to, I wasn't a coffee drinker. I didn't know what a latte was, frappuccino was, none of that. I didn't understand the menu, so I saw no reason to order from there. It wasn't until the hiring process that, I started noticing like the rainbow flags, and then I noticed when I was getting my uniforms, they had, certain T-shirts that probably more liberal. So yeah, I was just like, well, I'm just here to sell coffee and just try to get as much tuition reimbursement as I can, and like also just this opportunity to, this is wherever I go, be a representative of Christ, especially with people of opposing views, and try to be kind and be nice, but also stay within my values. So yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you about that. So, if they had you wear a shirt celebrating Black Pride Month, which, by the way, I would have absolutely no problem with, would you have had an issue with that?
Oh, if I had to wear a shirt celebrating Black Pride Month, not necessarily. I remember they did give us these Black Lives Matter shirts, but we had the option as to whether or not we wear them or not.
Right.
I just always went with basic Starbucks like uniform.
No, listen, I totally understand that, right? Like, I understand that you're somebody trying to make you're trying to make some money, tuition. I totally get that. The reason why I asked that question is I think you and I could probably agree, and you were brought up differently than me. Obviously, I'm not Black, but I think we both could agree that, there are times in our history where Black people have been oppressed, the victims of racism. I would say systemic racism exists. And that's why, I would have no problem with anybody wearing a shirt that said Black Pride Month. The reason why I asked that, though, Taylor, is because, and maybe we disagree on this, and that's okay, but I feel like people who are gay in society as a whole at times are victims as well. They're not treated the same. And I know being Black and being gay are two completely different things, but I think we're talking about groups of people that have been at times victims, not treated the same. Does that make sense, or would you disagree with that?
No, I agree. I understand that there are people of every background that can get mistreated, including gay people. So
Sure.
yeah, I understand.
Sure. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad we agree on that. So help me understand this, and maybe this is where the conversation gets a little, I'm not going to say sticky, but you sound like a very nice young lady. But I'm not an extremely religious person, but I respect everybody and whatever religion you want to be. I'm one of those people. Do you? And I respect that. But let me ask you a question. In your religion, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a sin to be gay. Is that, help me understand that? Like being a Christian values. Are Christian values looking at somebody else that might not be like you and calling them a sinner? Do I have that right or am I wrong?
So to sum it up short, everyone, according to my faith, is born into sin. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
naturally say that, you have to teach children to be good. They inherently know how to do bad things. So everyone has sinful desires, and gay people would be no exception. Obviously, or I don't know if it's obvious because not everyone reads the Bible, but homosexuality is not the only form of sexual immorality in the Bible. There's other forms of sexual immorality in the Bible, including lust in general, adultery, premarital sex. Like any form of it is considered sin in the Bible, and so therefore the gospel is basically that Jesus Christ came
Mm-hmm.
to pay the, and therefore anyone who believes in him will receive forgiveness for their sins.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of believing, because faith without works is dead, doing is believing. So we have to deny ourselves, pick up our cross, and basically deny and repent of
Right.
anything that is not to do. And
Mm.
homosexual relationships would be a part of that, yes.
Okay. So I understand that. I guess even though I might not agree with it, I understand what you're saying. But the distinction that I would make, and you could tell me whether you agree or not, is that when you decide to cheat on your spouse, that's a decision that you made. Nobody forced you into it. I think a lot of people would argue that, there are a lot of people, they said they knew they were gay when they were 5 or 6 years old. And I guess I don't believe that somebody just wakes up when they're, an adult and they say to themselves, hey, you know what? I think I'm just going to like men today instead of women. Now, I'm sure there are a few cases out there where people switch or they're bisexual. But I guess from the Christian faith, right, you believe that it's a choice, that people who are gay just wake up one day and say, hey, I think I'm attracted to the same sex? Or do I have that wrong?
Usually when I say that, and that's why I say like it's important to remember that everybody is born into sin according to the faith. So there are things such as generational curses that get passed down through demonic spirits. And so, even if you are born a certain way with certain
Mm-hmm.
feelings, attractions,
Yeah.
the lustful attractions, just any sort of strong desire that is
Mm-hmm.
considered a sinful desire within the Bible, at the end of the day, you have the choice to act on that desire. So, no, I'm not, I can empathize with gay people and understand that, there's different things that, can be hard to, prevent yourself from doing. But
Mm-hmm.
the, maybe the desire is not a choice, but you still have the choice to participate in a certain relationship. So,
Well, sure. Well, sure. I understand that. But to me, that's like saying, well, if you're straight and you're a man and you like women, you have a choice not to have sex with women. Absolutely. You're right. But I think that would be very unfair. Right. Or if a woman wants to have sexual relations with a man, to me, it's the same thing. But so what did Starbucks tell you when they fired you? Did they give you a reason, Taylor, why they fired you? What was their reason?
they said that I had failed to treat people with respect and dignity, and that I was intentionally misgendering. I had I actually had a talk with one of my coworkers
Mhm.
that I want, certain pronouns to be used, and
Right.
I talked to them and I said, hey, this is my faith, and
Hmm.
I want to be able to be sensitive to your feelings, but I also have to remain in my own values. So I'm
Hmm.
willing to talk to you and use your name and avoid using the pronouns you don't want me to use. But from within my faith, it's considered a lie to say that a man is a woman or a woman is a man. And
Hmm.
so, yeah,
Has that ever come up? Did that situation even ever come up when you were an employee at Starbucks where you saw someone that you assumed was a transgender and you used different pronouns? I mean, did that even happen?
no, it was um, basic. Well, I had known certain people who had, or a specific person who had went through this transition, like while I was working there. And when I met this person, um, he identified as a he, and it
Hmm.
was during the time that we had known each other that he wanted to start identifying as she, they, and
Understood.
yeah.
Understood. Okay, so let me ask you, and let me preface this by saying this, and I mean this. You
Mhm.
sound like a very, very nice person. You're well spoken. Like, this is a good conversation. I interview a lot of crazy people on this show. I don't think you're that person. You sound very nice. So,
It's
we might disagree on some fundamental things, but so I want to be very clear on that. My question
mhm.
to you is, how does that affect you? Like, you can disagree with somebody's lifestyle, right, Taylor? You can disagree with them being gay, or you can disagree with, calling somebody a he when you believe that's a she or whatever. And I understand that, even though we might disagree. But my question is, how does that affect you in your life? Like, if someone comes up to the register and you think it's probably a guy dressed up as a woman or maybe a transgender, why not just, I understand you're saying, well, it's not my faith, but does it really affect you in your life if you call what you believe is a he a she? I guess that's my question, if that makes sense.
it's like a yes and no. Like, do their personal decisions affect me? No.
Hmm.
I believe every God gave everyone free will.
Hmm.
There are consequences to exercising your free will, whether it be good or bad. But at the end of the day, that's your choice.
Right.
But my choice to also remain within the boundaries that my faith has set for me. And so um, I would just, I, so no, it doesn't affect me, their personal decisions, but
Hmm.
yes, it affects me in a way where I have to make my own choices to how I navigate those situations.
Gotcha.
And, but it's not like I'm not, I guess, phased by it. Like I just feel like I know what to expect, that people are either going to hate what I do or they're going to be okay with what I do.
I think
So,
hate is a very, very strong word. I just think a little bit differently. It's not because I hate what you're doing.
oh yeah,
You don't want to call a he a she or she a he in your mind, and that's your opinion. And for me, I guess I just don't care. Right. If there is a God out there, which by the way, I'm not an atheist. I do believe there is a God, a higher power out there. I don't think that God would judge me if I'm just calling somebody a she or he, but obviously we disagree on that, right? Let me ask you another question, because
okay,
obviously I disagree with the idea that if somebody is gay, that's the act of a sin. I just disagree with that premise. And by the way, Christianity is probably not the only religion that feels that way. So I'm not trying to single out just
yeah,
Christianity. But where do you think the line is crossed with religion? Let me explain to you where I'm coming from, right? So if a black woman like yourself walks into a
mm-hmm,
private business and the
mm-hmm,
owner of that business says, and I'm using this as an analogy, I don't agree with it, but if the owner of the business said, my religion tells me that black women are bad people, so get out of here. I don't want you here. I would imagine you wouldn't be okay with that, right? I don't think anybody would. What are your thoughts on that? And then if you asked him, why do you feel that way? Well, my religion tells me that. What would be your response to that?
uh, that's a good question. The thing is that I feel like when people think of religion, it's like there's no facts based in reality
Hmm.
to support that religion. So it's like, as far as race is concerned, it's already been, I guess, quote unquote, scientifically proven that there is one human race. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, race within itself is a social construct. There's only one human
Sure.
race.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, me personally, if that were to happen to me, I just don't care. I mean,
Well, hold
obviously,
on a second. You sound like
yeah,
such a nice person, Derek. You're telling. Hold on one second. Let's backtrack. What's your favorite store? Give me like a store that you go to on a regular basis. You're in what, North Carolina or South Carolina?
North Carolina, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So, like, what's a store that you frequent, if you don't mind me asking?
What, Five Below.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So let's take that store for example.
Mhm.
Um, let's just say you went into that store. New ownership takes it over. And the owner comes up to you and says, I don't want you here because you're a black woman. Well, why? Because my religion told me. That wouldn't bother you at all. Because, gosh, it would bother me if somebody said, I don't want bald radio hosts in my store because my religion. That would bother me. Like
Mhm.
that wouldn't bother you at all, Taylor?
No, I mean, like, obviously, I would know consciously that's messed up, but
Right,
like,
right.
I'm just saying internally, I'm just like, the world is the world. I feel I live in a fallen world. As far as making a case for it,
Hmm.
that's why I'm just like, it's not like for me in my case, it's not just about. It's hard to like separate the two because I see the two as the same, facts and religion, but it's just not about religious perspective. It's also just there are facts to support why I stand that way, and I don't know, like if
You mean
she
you
told,
mean facts? You mean facts to
I,
support why you don't want to use different pronouns for transgenders, or facts to support why you think people who are gay are sinners? What do you mean by that?
I was saying facts to support, well, yeah, both those two, but also facts to support why she is wrong for saying that because of my race I can't be there. So,
Could we agree though that anybody that doesn't want anybody in a store or a private business because of the color of one's skin is a
oh yeah,
bigot? I mean, that's bigotry. I feel like that's bigotry, right? Just like I would say if somebody comes into your store and you don't want to bake them a cake because they're gay, I find that bigotry as well. And that was a big case several years back. I guess Taylor, I just want everybody, and I'm not saying you treat people differently at all. I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in general, why can't we all just treat people the same with respect and dignity? It doesn't mean you have to respect their lifestyle, or it doesn't mean you have to agree, I guess is the right term, with their lifestyle. Like what I tell people, Taylor, and you can tell me how, if you think being gay is bad, then don't be gay. If you don't think gay people should be married, then don't be a married couple. You know what I mean? Like I guess if you don't want to be transgender, then don't have transgender surgery. You see where I'm going with that? That's kind of like my perspective on it. I don't know how you feel about that.
no, I understand that, and that's why I'm saying, like, you know, if you want to be gay or trans or whatnot, that's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, like, it's also like just how, okay, if a gay person is saying, I want to be gay and I don't want to follow Christianity, then they can be gay and they can say, I don't want to do this. I don't agree with it. I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm saying, like, if you want to do that, that's fine. But I cannot come into agreement with what I do not support. And speech is a part of that. And so I'm like,
I agree with you. Nobody should have to force you to agree with the way somebody else lives. I would never debate you on that or argue with you. We agree. The difference that I'm making is, are we treating everybody the same? Are you
mhm,
treating somebody that's gay the same as somebody that is straight, whether you own a business or whether you're having a conversation with them? Will you not judge them publicly and treat them the same as somebody that's straight. I guess that's the thing to me. It doesn't mean you have to agree with their lifestyle. It doesn't mean you have to be their friend. It doesn't mean you have to say, hey, I'm supporting you being gay. That's not what I'm saying. But I think the whole, and you can tell me if you disagree with me on this, the whole idea, in my opinion, when I speak to people who are gay about Pride Month, is about being prideful of who you are, knowing that you exist and that we should treat you with respect. Doesn't mean we have to agree with your lifestyle. I don't really care what people do. But to me, the whole idea of Pride Month is just, a group of people that have been discriminated and sometimes continue to be discriminated because of their sexual orientation. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, no, I get that. And like,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I see everybody the same. I look at people and I see souls. I know that sounds cliche, but that's truly how I feel. I see souls.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
I know several. Oh gosh, I feel like that's just gonna sound like I know so many black people. Not racist, but but like I don't know
Yeah.
how else to put it. Like when I was at Starbucks, we had fun. Like I
Right.
wasn't,
Mhm.
pressed about them being gay. I still remember each and every one of their names. I still pray for them, and
Mhm.
um, yeah, like
Taylor,
I
how would you deal with it? How would you deal with it though? Like if you found out that you had a brother or a sister that was gay, like how would you take that and how would you deal with it? I'm curious.
I mean, yeah, I actually have. I mean, I don't know if that's too much of their business, but I would just say, hey, okay, thank you for being honest. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's what God wants us all to do is just be real. Like, this is how we feel, and I'm gonna continue to love you,
Good.
and pray for you.
Good.
Like,
So you would still be a good sister regardless, is what you're saying.
yeah, like,
Well, I'm
yeah.
glad to hear you say that, Taylor, because there are a lot of people unlike you that are in the Christian faith, but they disown family members. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's really wrong. And I'm glad to hear you say that not only would you not do that, but you would still be a great sister and love them, and which I think is really important. And I think that's character. But you know where I'm coming from, right, Taylor? There are people out there, and I would call them crazy, by the way, just because somebody in your family happens to be gay. There
Mhm.
are stories of parents that kick kids out of the house because they're gay. I think nothing is a bigger sin than that, and so you get where I'm going there. You're not extremist like that. I would call that extremist, right?
Yeah, no, and that's where I feel like the division really sets in because of a lot of just bitterness, a lot
Hmm.
of church hurt. And I feel like that's with a bunch of different groups.
Hmm.
I feel like
Hmm.
black people who will be like, well, white people did this, this, and that. And
Right.
they're like, I don't want to do anything white people do. And Christianity is kind of seen as a white person's religion, so then they abandon Christianity. And then there's with gay people, oh, I went through this, my family disowned me. How are you spreading the love of God by doing this to me? And then that sets in the division and misunderstanding between Christians and LGBT members. And what I'm trying to, and this is what I use my platform for, is just give explanations. If you look at most of my posts, the biggest question is why? Why this? Why that? Why this? And for homosexuality in particular, I try to explain to people um, in a loving way or as kind as possible why the Bible is saying this, um, and help them understand that anybody who mistreated them in that way, that's not following Christ. And so
Right.
I don't,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't condone any sort of bashing or whatnot. Um,
Right. Right.
so
Neither do I. We
yeah,
agree on that. Going back to Starbucks, there's no lawsuit or anything like that, right? You would agree with me that they have the right, even though you might disagree with you losing your job there, they do have the right. Would you agree with me there from a legal perspective?
Yeah, so I had sat on that for a minute. Obviously, like when it first happened, people had told me to file a lawsuit, and um, I mean, I just recently came to a decision that I would pursue filing a lawsuit.
Oh, you
Um,
are? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, but
So help me understand this as far as, and maybe you spoke to your attorney about this because I don't know how this works. If a private business wants you to be okay with, a gay pride flag or celebrating Pride Month, or they want you to use certain pronouns to talk to transgender people, and it's a private business and that's their policy, what is I guess my question is, what is the legal argument to that? What did they do wrong legally or civilly?
um, well, I would say that there was basically one person is being forced to go against their own religious values to speak a certain way.
Hmm.
I had been there for uh, 2 years before that happened, before they
Hmm.
enforced the policy and everything. And um, I did not, I didn't say anything about the pride flags. Like, obviously,
Hmm.
my platform, I talk about it, but at work, I wasn't.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
the other part of it was that, I felt like, I had just, there was the other part of the story where they had the glass wall
Hmm.
and it had, different sexual attraction definitions. And, um, I had been used to the decorations and whatnot, and I didn't say anything about it. The only reason I warned about the wall was because I knew that that could be perceived a certain way and it might just not be the most appropriate option. I understand that they were just trying to educate, but
Hmm.
if I had a Christian coffee shop, I wouldn't write like on the wall like Adam and Eve were sexually attracted to one another or something like
Well,
that.
right, but if you own the shop, right, you would have the right to not do that or do that, right? I mean, I would
Oh
never take that. I would never take that right away from you, by the way. So I don't know. While I understand where you're coming from, but if something is graphic, I'm with you 100%. I'm not sure it was graphic, like you said, probably educational. But I mean, I guess since we just had Trans Day of Visibility, right? We just had it on the 31st. You have a problem with like Trans Day of Visibility? What are your thoughts on that?
like um I don't know. I guess like a yes and no. Like obviously, I want what everybody's going through to be acknowledged.
Hmm.
Obviously, I disagree with that decision. But I mean, y'all can. I honestly I don't know. Like it's kind of a yes
Yeah.
and no.
I
But
guess,
I
and I guess I'll leave you with this thought. Like, tell me if this makes any sense. And by the way, I didn't have you come on this show to change your views at all. I wanted to hear your views and have a good conversation like we're having. I'll take an analogy, and you might not agree with it, but when I talk to someone who is black, for example, obviously I'm not. I try to listen to them. I try to listen to their upbringing. I don't know what it's like to be pulled over because of the color of my skin. I don't know what it's like to be followed in a store because people think I might shoplift because of the color of my skin. So what do? I listen to them, right? And I'm not saying you don't, but I try to do the same with transgender people. I don't know what it's like to be living in a body and going through the hell of knowing that I don't want to be in this body. I want to be the opposite sex. I can't even imagine how hellish that must be for somebody, right? So, I mean, I guess I try to listen to them. And I think if we do that, I think society, we're better for it. And I'm not saying you're not doing that. But I mean, that would be my recommendation to anybody. Even if you disagree with somebody's lifestyle, just have a conversation with them. Let them hear you out and you, right? And you hear their out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I
Hmm.
understand. That's why I said partially yes, because I want everyone to be
Right.
honest,
Right.
vulnerable about
Yeah.
what's going on. I empathize with
Right.
people who feel like I don't understand how that feels. And like
Right.
heart kind of breaks for them. But
Mhm. Sure. You don't want to be treated differently because of color of your skin. And I don't want that to
yeah,
happen either. I don't want people to be treated differently because of their sexuality or because they might be transgender. To me, they go hand in hand. It's a group of people that have been marginalized, right? Could be the color of your skin, could be your religion. I want you the right to have the right to go to church every day if you want to, right? I want you to have the right to your beliefs, but I just don't want people to be treated differently. I
yeah,
guess that's me in a nutshell, right? And I think we kind of agree on that, don't we?
yeah, yeah.
Good.
I was,
Good. And that's the most important thing, right? We all want people to be treated the same. Well, listen, so you've already filed a suit. Is that what you said?
oh no, not yet. Just
Not yet. Okay,
uh,
but you plan to?
yeah,
Is that fair to say?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, I would love to get an update from you on this suit because I'm sure it'll make national news, and I'm sure people are going to want to know because it might set a precedent. I don't know. I don't know because I'm not an attorney, but I'd love to have you back on. I'd love to get an update from you on this lawsuit, and I think it's a productive conversation that we had. And you sound
Yeah.
like a very nice lady, Taylor. Even though we disagree on a few fundamental things, that's okay. I wanted to hear you out and hear your perspective, and you hear mine. And I think that's what it's all about. That's what I try to do on this show every day. So, Taylor, I appreciate your time, Taylor. Thank you. Did you find another job, by the way, before I let you go?
2 years ago. That's another thing people don't understand. I was sharing a story from 2 years ago. I'm a house cleaner now. I've had jobs since then, so I'm
Oh,
ready to
good,
go.
good. Well, I am glad to hear that. You sound like a nice lady, Taylor, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on. If there's any updates on this upcoming lawsuit, please let me know, and we'll be happy to have you back on. Okay, Taylor, and I really do appreciate your time coming on after work and
Yes,
doing this with us. Thank you so much. Okay, Taylor.
okay, thank you, Brian. Yes,
All right, you take care. Thank you so much. That's Taylor Trice, everybody. Listen, she sounds like a very nice lady. We obviously disagree on some fundamental things, right? But the important thing is that we come to a conclusion that everybody should be treated fairly. Everybody should be treated as equals, regardless of race, regardless of where you're from, regardless of your religion, um, and regardless of if you're, a homosexual or if you're transgender. Um, we obviously disagree. I don't see the big deal. I'll call somebody a she or a he. I'm going to be honest with you. This might anger some liberals. This might anger some Democrats, but I'm always honest with you. If you're born a man, transition to a woman, I kind of still see you as a man. If you're born a woman, transition to a man, I kind of still see you as a woman. But I will call you what you want to be called because I don't care. Go into any bathroom you want. I don't care. I will call you a man if you want to be called a man. I will call you a woman because you want to be called a woman because I'm going to be respectful. I don't care. And I'm not an atheist, so you can't pin me to that. I don't care. That's where I disagree. If I was working at a Starbucks and a transgender came in, and I thought to myself, which I probably wouldn't because I don't care who the customer is, but if I thought, should I call that person a man or a woman, then I would if I wasn't sure, then I would say, hello, how are you? What can I get you? But that's just me. To me, it's not an issue, right? I'll call somebody what they want to be called. I don't care. Taylor seems like a very nice person. I'm not an extremely religious person because I feel like in some religions, it's very, very judgmental. Calling somebody a sinner because they're gay, to me, is outrageous, right? Not baking somebody a cake because they're gay is outrageous. That man who wouldn't bake that cake, to me, is a bigot. I know it's his business. He can refuse service on sexual. Fine, I know it went to the Supreme Court. I still disagree with it. I think it's bigoted in nature. If somebody walks into my store, gay couple, 2 men or 2 women holding hands, I don't care. I'll bake your cake. First of all, I appreciate your business, and I don't care. It doesn't mean I have to agree with your lifestyle. I don't care. Why do people care? Why do people want to involve themselves in other people's lives? I don't care. Now, if you're breaking the law, That's different. I don't want to see two men kissing on the street anymore when I see a man or a woman kissing on the street. I'm not going to look. I don't care. I don't want to see it. I don't care. That's just me. I don't think she's going to win this lawsuit. I don't think she has a case. I could be wrong. I didn't think the guy who baked the cake had a case either. He won. So I don't know. I have a lot of different feelings on this. Again, she sounds like a very nice lady. She didn't sound hateful. She didn't sound like bigoted. But this is just, who I am as an individual. I just don't think that way. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I keep saying that because I'm always honest. I tend not to get along with people who are really religious people, who are Bible thumpers, or people who talk about God every minute of every day. I don't seem to get along with people like that because I don't let that stuff dictate my life. I think we are all in control of our own destiny. We all have our own responsibilities. You can go to church, you can go to synagogue, that's fine. The reason why I'm not an extremely religious person, look at all the people that have died in the world because of religion. My religion is right and everybody else is wrong. It's so judgmental. Let me be very clear. Nobody knows if God exists for sure. We can talk about the Bible. We can talk about Adam and Eve. We can talk about Jesus Christ. Charlie Kirk can talk about the scripture and all this proof and evidence that Jesus and God exist. Charlie Kirk doesn't know if God or Jesus existed or exists any more than me. None of us know if there's life after death. Heck, I hope there is. We don't know if there's a heaven. We don't know if there's a hell. Don't let any priest or any rabbi tell you differently. They don't know any more than I. Okay? We don't know if it exists. Now, it's called faith because we believe. And you have the right to faith. You have a right to believe. What you don't have the right to do is say that you're right and everybody else is wrong. We don't know if God exists. We don't know if heaven or hell exists. And, don't preach it to me because you don't know any more than I know. And you know what? We won't know until we're dead. I have a family member that said, Brian, you know what? After you die, it's like before you were born. You didn't exist. Okay, that sort of makes sense. I don't know. We won't know until we're dead. It could be absolutely nothing, like you don't remember before you were born, or maybe there is something out there. I don't know. I'm not saying everybody's wrong. All I'm saying is you don't know any more than me. We don't know if God exists. We don't know if a guy named Jesus Christ ever existed. We just don't. You can say, well, look at the prophets, look at the scripture, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean it's 100% that Jesus existed and he was nailed to the cross. We don't know that for sure. Nobody's alive back then. We don't have any witnesses. We don't have video. I'm pretty sure cell phones weren't around back then. We don't know for sure. That's all I'm trying to say. Be whatever religion you want to be. If you want to believe in the tooth fairy, go ahead. If you want to believe Donald Trump is the next Messiah, I probably have a little bit of a problem with that. But believe in whatever you want to believe in, folks. You have the right. It's America. You can believe whatever you want. Don't treat others differently if they disagree with you. Don't look down upon people and be judgmental of other people because of their sexuality or the color of their skin. This is America. We have freedom. Freedom to believe in what we want to believe in. If you think Donald Trump is your God, go ahead and buy all the gold shoes you want. Go ahead and buy all the $60 Bibles you want. By the way, it's amazing to me that I haven't heard from evangelicals on the far right that haven't called that blasphemy. Making money off a Bible? Boy, they're very quiet about that, aren't they? But yet they'll have no problem attacking, transgenders, and they'll have no problem attacking drag queen reading. No problem with that. But hey, Donald Trump selling $60 Bibles, no problem with that. But all the other stuff, yeah, they're sinners. That I have a problem with. Anyway, I appreciate Taylor coming on. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll take your phone calls on the other side. I got a lot of people who want to chime in on this. I have a lot of people who want to share their opinions on this interview. It's a very interesting interview that I just did with Taylor Trice. Her video went viral, and now she is, I haven't heard this before. Maybe we're breaking some news here. She does plan on filing a lawsuit against Starbucks. They fired her, she's claiming because of her Christian values. 702-221-7283. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702 221-7283. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Pioneer Air. They've been around since the 1930s. Leo came in studio talking about it. And for a limited time, if you call up, you're going to get free scheduled maintenance for up to a year. With summer right around the corner, it's a great idea. And this is a company that I've already had listeners of the show say are nothing A-plus fantastic. Please give them a call, and you'll get some free scheduled maintenance. Just name this show. Name this show. 702-703-6346. By the way, it's called Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. I've been called worse. That number again, 702-703-6346. All right, everybody. We'll take some phone calls on the other side. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your people's choice for City Council. With a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen, I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Phones are going a little crazy. They're jammed up, so as soon as we get a line that's open, keep trying. I want to tell you guys about my favorite bar in Las Vegas. Certainly my favorite gaming bar and my favorite bar as well. Of course, I'm talking about Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. I'm there several times a week. Great gaming bar. There's a lot of reasons. Wonderful people, great bartenders, so I can share all my problems with them because, you know, that's what I do. I complain a lot. They're very receptive over there. Great chicken Alfredo I had there. That's my favorite thing on the menu. The surf and turf was awesome. I had that last week. And they got great gaming promotions as well, including during Vegas Golden Knights games. It's just a great place. So please check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. We just had Taylor Trice on, fired from Starbucks. She claims because of her Christian values, and we're taking your phone calls on that. It's an interesting topic. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Why don't we start off with Julian? Julian is first up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Julian.
Hey, Brian. How you doing today?
Hey, good, man. What's on your mind?
I had a lot of problems with her, with kind of her attitude. As somebody who's my youngest sibling is trans, and she put a soft voice on it and very gentle words, but her attitude is one that creates a place that makes violence towards trans people more acceptable, right? This is the kind of attitude, the dehumanization that allowed for somebody like Next Benedict to be killed, right? And it all stems from a victim complex of just like, oh, I am Christian, I am persecuted.
I understand what you're saying.
No way, shape,
I get what you're saying, and I'm not trying to defend her because obviously I'm with you and I disagree with her beliefs. I really do. I guess all I'm saying is, and maybe some people might not like this, is there's far worse. There are people out there that just attack the transgender community, attack people who are gay constantly. I'm not sure she's at that level. I disagree with her beliefs. And I tried to, I think the most interesting part of the interview to me is when I guess I'm not trying to get her in a gotcha moment, but I said, as a black woman, if you went into your favorite store and they said, I don't want you in here because my religion says black women are bad, which is horrible, by the way. I would never endorse anybody doing that. But she kind of was caught off guard, I think, with that question. And then she said she wouldn't care. And I said, whoa. What do you mean you wouldn't care? And then she kind of switched her tone a little bit. To me, this is the exact same thing. You know, where are we at in society, you know, when, Julian, when people can just hide behind their religion for bigoted opinions? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just speaking in general terms now.
Oh, I agree. I fully agree. And again, I also think that you are right in that she is by no means the worst, right? There are people who are significantly worse. Again, and I think you nailed it just there at the end, which is hiding behind the religion, because I know many people who are Christian and whose view of Christianity is that Jesus would want them to love
right,
the person. Like my youngest sibling, who is trans, is also adopted from Cambodia, and there was a woman from Arkansas who is a born again Christian,
right,
and she is, for instance, she is anti-abortion personally. She's actually very pro-choice because she does not think that Jesus would want anybody to judge anybody else.
Yeah. What I just don't understand about religion is that everybody thinks they're right and everybody else is wrong. Like, and what I try to say is what I said last segment. We all don't know. We don't know if God exists. We don't know if Jesus Christ existed. Oh, but look at the scripture. Look at this. Look at that. That's evidence. No, it's not. It's people writing something down. If I write down right now that Donald Trump is the next, Messiah, does that make it right 1,000 years from now? I mean, I'm sorry. I know I sound like an atheist when I talk like that, and I'm not. I'd like to believe that there is a higher power out there. I just don't know. That faith, you believe in something. Doesn't mean it's true. You believe in it. And, like, that's the part of religion that drives me crazy. People always think they're right about everything.
You can have your faith, but in no way, shape, or form does acknowledging or saying or using somebody's pronouns prevent her from exercising her faith.
I agree.
Agree
150%. And that's my biggest problem with religion. You can believe that being gay is a sin. It doesn't mean you have to treat other people with disrespect. I appreciate your call, my friend. You're 100% right. And I appreciate you. Good call. Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We have one phone line open. Let's go to Antonio. Antonio is next on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Antonio?
Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. A lot of these so-called diehard Christians really need to take a look into what they actually believe in, and read some of the scripture that they supposedly live by, I'm not even religious, and I knew that verse existed.
Right. As did I.
And
Yeah,
some
you're
of
right.
these,
Yeah.
yeah, and some of these so-called Christians, and I mean, take it with disrespect if you want to take it with disrespect, but like, they just need to learn what they're talking about, and like your caller, some of them are just ignorant and willfully ignorant at this point.
I guess I didn't want to get into this with Taylor because I didn't want her to come on, and I didn't want to talk about, she's a young lady. I didn't want to talk about politics with her or Donald Trump. The problem I have with a lot of Christians in this country today, their faith and Christianity and moral values, so they claim, yet they'll support a guy who's a liable sexual abuser. Like, that's the part that I just can't fathom. It doesn't mean you have to vote for Joe Biden, but how can you support? And yes, when you vote for somebody, you're supporting them. How can you support somebody who's had 26 women accuse him of sexual assault or rape, including his ex-wife? Like, I don't understand how people can die on that ledge, so to speak, for lack of a better term. I just think religion is so hypocritical in so many elements. You know, it's supposed to be about not judging other people, yet we're going to judge everybody who's gay. It's about not judging other people, but we're going to judge everybody who's transgender. Like, I don't understand that. I've been in churches before where the pastor used the term queer in describing people who are gay. It's so judgmental.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's just part of I'll use a nickname from another caller. It's all part of the Confather cult, and they're all into it now.
Yeah, he is the Confather. You're right about that, my friend. And we'll have to make sure the Confather doesn't get back into office, because it'll be he's duping a lot of people, but he ain't going to dupe people like you and me. Thank you for the call, my friend.
Yep.
I appreciate you. Thank
no
you.
problem. One more thing. Sorry.
Sure.
I don't mean to take up your whole day, but like Barack Obama said, don't boo, vote.
There you go. That's what I want, as many people as possible voting in November, my friend, and Republicans certainly don't want that. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kava. Kava is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Kava.
Hi, Brent. How are you today, my dude?
Good.
So I completely disagree with what she just said. How dare she come for the trans community like that? Personally, I'm upset because I'm LGBTQI+. I'm bi. So what she said extremely offended me. Like, fine, you have a right to your opinion. You have a right to your religion. But when you come for the LGBTQIA+ community because of your religion, you have no right there. There is no excuse for that. There's no backing it. I'm sorry, but she was out of line. And I know a lot of other people like myself who would also disagree and would feel upset by that.
But you know where the line is crossed for me? Obviously, I disagree with anybody who thinks being gay is a sin or being transgender is so terrible. Obviously, I disagree with them. The line is crossed with me, not if you feel that way, but if you act out on it publicly, if you treat people differently. That's where the line is crossed for me. And I feel like if you're not going to call somebody a he or a she because it bothers you that much, then maybe you shouldn't be out in public working. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I just feel like it's a thing of respect. You don't have to agree with their lifestyle, but is calling somebody a he or she really going to affect your day? No. She basically admitted it herself. I asked her, how is it affecting you? It's not. So if something isn't affecting you directly, what do you care what other people do? I don't understand.
Yeah, and yet they tell us LGBTQIA+ people that we're forcing it down their throats.
Yeah.
Who's the one who's doing it now, huh?
Amen.
Who's the real punk now?
Amen. Separation between church and state. I think there should be a separation between the workplace and home.
1,000%.
Separation between
1,000%.
the workplace and home. And we agree, Kava. Hey, it's good to hear from you, my friend. I do appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you, Kava. 702-221-7283. We've got one phone line that's open. Let's go to Anthony, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Anthony.
Hey, Brian.
What's up?
How are you today?
I'm doing good, my friend. What's on your mind?
Oh, man, I had a buddy. I used to sit and we drink a beer and chit-chat and for over a year. And one night that joker grabbed me in my stuff. And that's when I went to my straight razor, and I told him I'm gonna cut his lips off, and he started laughing.
Well,
and
that's
I
not
say,
good.
now you know it ain't like that now. And I was kind of like that commercial, where it say, "Honey, don't touch that dial."
Well, obviously
You know?
that is sexual assault, and that is a line that nobody should cross, no matter what their sexuality is. And I'm sure you would agree with me.
Exactly.
There are straight people that do that all the time. The better, same chance as somebody who's gay as somebody who's straight that can commit a sexual violent crime, and that's sexual assault.
But we straightened that out then, and we had a good friendship. But I let him know I ain't that. He knew I wasn't like that. No way.
Well, that's inappropriate. But I'm sure you would. But I'm sure
pushing
you would
it.
agree with me that most people do not behave that way, no matter what their sexual
No, that was
orientation
him.
is. Right.
It was just one of them moments.
But can I ask you?
Want to call himself trying me?
Let me ask you a question though, because this is an important question. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry that happened to you, but because that happened to you, I would hope you don't look at all people who are gay in that light,
No.
right? You don't. You wouldn't
No,
do that.
no.
Okay, good. You
No, you know why, Brian?
Yeah.
I have a brother. I'm 62.
Mm-hmm.
My brother is 61.
Okay.
Coming up. Matter of fact, his birthday is this month, March.
Right.
March 4th. He'll be 61.
Yep.
He started transing.
Right.
And
Transitioning.
he got
Yep.
this joker got 4. I thought about calling him and asking him if he could call you and talk to you live on the show.
I gladly.
He don't mind seeing it.
Unlike-
He don't mind seeing it.
Unlike some
He-
people,
he-
as you know, if you're a loyal listener, which I believe you are, I'll take any
I've
caller.
been listening to you years.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate people like you. It's why I do what I do. But as you know, I'll take anybody to call into this show. Now, if they're disrespectful to me, or they say
I'm not.
something that of course you're not. Or if somebody's factually inaccurate or they misrepresent me, then they're probably not going to be on the line very long.
No.
But here's what I want you to do. I want you to reach out to that person and convince them to call in, and I would love to talk to them. Does that sound like a plan?
He'll talk to him because his thing now is that for some years now, he's been wanting to. He's liking the women for years now. Again, he's started liking the women, and he told me some years ago. He said, "Man, I want to get rid of the boobs and stuff, and be back to just being him." But at the same time, I tell it all the time: people can change.
People
They
can
may
change,
have
and you know what?
they can change. This is what the Christian folk need to learn or understand by a lot of Christian people who know this.
I can say this: he or she has the right to change their views, do what they want with their own bodies, so long as it's not against the law. And you please tell your friend to call in, and I appreciate your phone call. Thank you so much. We're going to go to the next caller. Good to hear from you, my friend. I always love people who've been listening to me on the radio for years. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Maybe I'll go to Starbucks after this and get a cup of coffee. 702-221-7283. All right, let's go to Shane, who's next. Shane, are you there?
What I have to say is that pleasuring yourself is not a sin if you do it to Shakira, only to Donald Trump.
That's a great phone call. Something tells me that Shane pleasures himself to me as well. Hey, Shane, here's what I want you to do. When you go to sleep at night tonight and you quote-unquote pleasure yourself, just make sure you're looking at me, because I think that'll help you get the deed done. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Mathen. Do I have that right? Mathen is next up on Pushing Limits. Hi, Mathen.
Hi, yes.
Yeah, go right ahead.
It's Nathan, Nathan.
My apologies, Nathan. Go right ahead.
No problem. Okay, I just wanted to say, very interesting interview. Being homosexual is about who you sleep with. Being transgender is about who you are. It's not about sex.
I agree, and I think ignorant people don't seem to be able to differentiate the two. I agree with you 100%. Just because you're transgender doesn't mean that you're gay or identify as being gay. And being gay and being transgender are two different things. You're 100% correct.
but they try to make it the same thing.
Right.
People are always saying, hate the sin, love the sinner. I hate that saying.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah. You know who said
You
that?
know?
You know who said that? And I hate to bring this up. I don't know if you're a football fan, but we had a football player named Henry Ruggs III who used to play for the Raiders here. And he was going 150 miles an hour drunk, killed an innocent woman and her dog, a young woman in her early 20s. And Derek Carr is a Christian man. He's a nice guy. He's our former quarterback. That's another story. I'm glad he's our former quarterback. But then he holds a press conference the next few days after and says, don't hate the person, hate the sin. Basically what you're saying. And I'm so sick of people saying that. No, I can hate the person. Henry Ruggs could have been a perfect human being. Guess what? Don't care. He decided to get into a car and go 150 miles an hour drunk and kill somebody. Guess what? I hate people like that. Anybody who goes into a car and kills somebody because of their selfishness, it doesn't mean I'm not saying they don't deserve a second chance in life, but they killed somebody. So I don't want to hear people telling me that I can't hate somebody, just hate the sin. I mean, I hate that
Right,
saying. I'm with
exactly,
you. I hate
exactly.
that. Yeah, I hate that. No, I'll hate
Yeah.
who I want to hate. I hate Donald Trump. I hate people who murder people, and I hate people who judge other people based on their color of skin or sexuality. I hate people like that. There's a word for that.
Yes.
They're called bigots, and I hate bigots.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I hate bigots.
And I would also like to say, the Bible does not speak out against homosexuality. It doesn't even actually mention homosexuality.
Correct. So she was wrong, and I didn't want to criticize her on her, reciting the
Yes,
Bible to me.
I
But
know.
you're right. It doesn't mention anything about homosexuality. You're 100% correct. But maybe we should both buy those $60 Donald Trump Bibles and reread the Bible and find out. I don't know. Maybe
Yes, I guess so.
maybe Donald Trump should try reading that book as well. It's his favorite book, but he can't recite one passage. That frickin' idiot.
Well, I basically grew up in church, and like this young lady did, and I've heard all the same stories she did. I feel really sorry for her because she's really been brainwashed, and I'm glad that I got out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So thank God for that.
Well, I'm thankful for that as well, and I appreciate you calling in. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. 702.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you. 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283. Why don't we go to Gary, who's next up on Pushing the Limits? What's up, Gary?
Brian, we all must be big, not bigots. Although Archie Bunker did make me laugh quite a bit watching All in the Family. Hey, I want to say something important. What would conservative women, pro-life women do? Would they get abortions if there was a DNA test in the future, and they knew that their son or daughter was going to be 95% accurately would grow up and be gay, and they were against gays? Would they be hypocrites if they had an abortion and it was found out?
I think that's a really interesting question. I can't speak for all of them, but I think that would be a very interesting decision that some of these right-wing zealots would have to make. Here's what I will tell you. Here's what I'm going to share. I'm going to share a personal story with you, Gary. I'll pretend like you're the only one listening, Gary. Personal story. So I have a very close friend of mine. He's a middle-aged guy, right? Well, middle-aged, I don't know. He's in his early 60s now. And he has a son who's gay. And he's a good Christian man. And this was about 10 years ago. His son is now like 20. He came up to me 10 years ago crying, Brian, I just found out my son is gay. He likes men. And he was really pissed off, like really visibly upset. He was emotional.
Distraught.
He was angry, and he was like, I don't think I'm going to talk to my son anymore. I gave him the business, and I told him, how dare you? You have the right to feel the way you feel, but this is your son. And I told him, you are the biggest sinner of them all if you treat your son any different. I had multiple conversations with him. He has a wonderful relationship with his son today. Back then, didn't look so good. I've had a lot of conversations with him, and he hangs out with his son all the time. He's a good father, a loving father, and his son got a great job. He's in his early 20s now, and they're doing well. But people need to speak up. And if it, and
Well,
I'm
his
not,
son is probably a decent guy too. It works both ways, you know.
he's a good
His
guy.
son
Yeah,
could
of
have grew
course.
up and be a real doofus and really
Like
ruined everything. He probably was a decent guy.
Like Eric and Donald Trump Jr. Exactly. I don't know if they're straight or I don't know what their sexual orientation is, and I don't know what Kimberly Guilfoyle. I don't know what my pronouns would be with Kimberly Guilfoyle. Maybe she could help me with that. Gary, I got to run, my friend.
Can I say one more thing?
Quickly.
I know you have a lot of people on hold.
Quickly.
This is my religion, and I'm agnostic most of the time. If Jesus came back to the world, I would hope that all he would do was open up a bakery and serve wedding cakes to gay people, just to make everybody nuts, because they would be asking, "Don't you have more important things to do?"
You know what I think
That's
we
what
should
Jesus
do?
Christ.
Gary, you know what I think we
Yes.
should do? We should both open up a business called the Gay Bakery. That's what we should do, and only serve gay people cake. That's what we should do.
And we should grow our hair long, and look like Jesus. Or
Yeah,
you would have to get a wig, though.
We should have. We should have a bakery, Gary. We should have a bakery with pages of the Bible taped to the wall, and openly serve gay people. That's what I think we should do. That's my idea for my new business. I don't think a lot of right-wing evangelicals would go to my business, so I don't know how well it would do. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Roy. Roy is next. What's up? What's up, Roy?
Hey, Brian. How you doing today?
Hey, good. What's on your mind, man?
Fascinating interview.
Thank you.
To me, too much religious fanaticism causes more harm than good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had wars in the world over religion.
Yeah.
Okay, which makes no sense. To me, a religious person, doesn't matter what God you believe in. If you believe in God, a religious person is a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Just do the right thing for people, and that's all that really matters. I don't care. To me, prejudice or bigotry is just ignorance.
I just get so frustrated, Roy. I agree with what you said. I get so frustrated with people that, things that don't affect them. Like I have a friend, I'm not going to say his name. It rhymes with narc. Anyway, I have a friend who doesn't have any kids, but yet all he does is talk about what's bad for kids: transgender surgery, drag queen reading. And I say to him, I said, first of all, your opinions are bigoted in nature. And I say, you don't even have any kids. So how is this affecting you? That's the thing, right? When you talk to these people, ask them how gay people affect them. Ask them how transgender people affect them. Ask them how drag queen reading affects them. Now, obviously, it doesn't affect them in a negative way. If anything, it would probably be a positive way. But they're so homophobic and they're so insecure in their own ways that they want to try to push that anger out on other people and their bigoted opinions. And I've had it with these people. I really have.
Well, it's the far right, the religious right, and we're supposed to have separation of church and state, and that's becoming less and less. The far right wants to involve religion in government.
Right.
I mean, here's a perfect example when we talk about abortion with pro-choice. I don't understand why some of these people are so fanatic about if you believe that you shouldn't have an abortion, don't.
All right,
no
well,
one's
guess
forcing
what?
you to.
I'm going to answer your question. Why are these people such fanatics? Here's something that is going to anger a lot of people, but I don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. I think the majority of people that are extremely religious are mentally ill. That could be any religion.
They're also very hypocritical. They'll go to church or synagogue one day and then go out and have adultery the next day. They're all bullshit.
You are 150% correct, Roy. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much. And yes, that's how I feel. I feel like if you're an extremely religious person that judges others, you are probably mentally ill. Yes, I said it, and I'm sorry if some of you don't agree with me, but that's how I feel. But I'm still going to try to treat you as an equal. I'm still going to try to respect you, even though you don't respect others and you think your religion is the only way to go. All right, we're going to take our last break of the show. And then when we come back, what did Hillary Clinton have to say with Jimmy Fallon? We'll play that for you. Why people should vote for Joe Biden, not vote for Barack Obama. And then it's a controversy that shouldn't be a controversy, but the LSU basketball, the women's basketball team, I guess they weren't out for the national anthem yesterday. They haven't been out for the national anthem all year, but people on the far right, another opportunity for them to attack black people. We'll talk about that coming up next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fun account and stay progressive.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Check out my friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Love going over there. I gotta go to lunch there tomorrow. Chicken Alfredo's the best. Great gaming promotions, especially during Vegas Golden Knights games. I don't think there's any better place to watch a game unless you're in T-Mobile Arena than Jackson's Bar and Grill. Great gaming promotions. The Pass the Puck contest, among others. The Slip-Ox will take care of you over there. Jackson's Bar and Grill. Just don't tell the owner that you're a big fan of tuna fish, because he just won't be within 5 feet of you. He doesn't like tuna, even though he sells it at his bar sometimes. He's going to hate me for saying that. No, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Great place. Check them out and tell them I sent you. All right. I promised we would get to some more phone calls, but before we do that, Hillary Clinton made an appearance on the Jimmy Fallon show. Now, I don't like Jimmy Fallon, and I know people that actually have worked for Jimmy Fallon, and they say he's kind of an a-hole, not the nicest guy in the world, and I don't think he's funny. He's like awkward and not in a funny way. But Hillary Clinton did his show, and Hillary Clinton was talking about the two choices that she has, and everybody has, quite frankly. It's for the most part, it's Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. And she made a very clear distinction, very concisely. Have a listen to this.
But it's Biden versus Trump. We
Yes,
know that.
It is. It is.
What do you say to voters who are upset that those are the two choices?
Get over yourself. Those are the two choices.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? And
good.
You know, it's kind of like one is old and effective and compassionate, has a heart, and really cares about people, and one is old and has been charged with 91 felonies.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay, interesting.
I don't understand why this is even a hard choice, really. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But we have to go through the election, and hopefully people will realize what's at stake, because it's an existential question. What kind of country we're going to have, what kind of democracy we're going to have. And people who blow that off are not paying attention, because it's not like Trump, his enablers, his empowerers, his allies are not telling us what they want to do. I mean, they're pretty clear about what kind of country they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out there and
So I agree with Hillary Clinton 150%. You have two choices. Let's forget about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for right now in this conversation. Yes, Hillary's right. Joe Biden is old, but he's compassionate. He actually cares about people. Anybody who says that Donald Trump cares about you is a moron. The only person Donald cares about is himself and maybe his orange makeup when he wakes up in the morning. He doesn't care about his own family. Clearly, if that was the case, he wouldn't be behaving or behaved the way he has in his lifetime when banging a raw dogging a porn star months after Melania has Barron. The way he treats his family is despicable, let alone people like you and me, and the things he says about our brave men and women in uniform, POWs, listen, the list goes on. So another controversy that I wanted to get to that I haven't been able to talk about yet, and it really shouldn't be a controversy. Like, I'm not really a Kim Mulkey fan. She's the coach of LSU. Angel Reese is controversial for a lot of different reasons. I'm not an Angel Reese fan, and that has nothing to do with the color of her skin. It has to do with, her character, I guess you could say. She's a good female college basketball player. I don't think she's going to have much of any WNBA career. But, her statement she's made last year after they won the national championship about getting invited to the White House, statements she made about Joe Biden were ignorant. She's somebody that basically probably would have failed out of school if she wasn't on the college basketball team. She's not very intelligent. And then yesterday, this goes to show you who Angel Reese is. She's an immature crybaby. She's very immature. Yesterday in the shoot-around, an hour before the big game, she shows up on the court with a crown. What person does that unless they want attention and they want to be hated? So spare me the victimhood, Kim Mulkey and Angel Reese crying up there saying, oh, I'm the victim. No, Angel Reese does it to herself. Who the F brings a crown onto the court and then sets it down on their bench? First of all, that's selfish. You're making it about you, not about the team. Angel Reese is a moron, okay? Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Kim Mulkey. So here's Kim Mulkey's reasoning behind the national anthem, and the reasoning, which was a little bizarre. She's taking some flack to it on why they weren't out there for the national anthem.
Honestly, I don't even know when the anthem was played. We kind of have a routine where we are on the floor, and then they come off at the 12-minute mark.
That's when the anthem.
We just, I don't know, and we come in and we do our pregame stuff. I'm sorry. Listen, that's nothing intentionally done.
All right, so I don't believe her. Every team, every coach, the SID, whoever it is, they tell them, the organizers of the event, when the national anthem is going to be played. The idea that she didn't know. Listen, if they don't want to stand during the national anthem, I'm not going to attack them. I'm not going to be like Donald Trump and call the NFL players sons of bitches, because that was despicable. As an American, you have the right not to stand during the national anthem. That's not what this is about. I have a problem with Kim Mulkey lying, and I believe she's lying. Now, they haven't stood for the national anthem all year. Maybe they do have a pregame routine, but guess what? Don't lie to us and tell us you didn't know when the national anthem was going to be done. That's a lie. Okay? I'm sorry. That's wrong. And the reason why I don't give Kim Mulkey a lot of benefit of the doubt is because she said some really ridiculous things, and she joked about COVID. I mean, this was, I believe, earlier in the year when she held a press conference, and she was joking about the fact, and again, COVID has killed over 1 million people. It's nothing to laugh about. You can laugh about a lot of things in life. You shouldn't be laughing about COVID. Listen to this soundbite. This is Kim Mulkey kind of making a mockery of getting tested for COVID.
I ain't a sissy. I don't have allergies. I got some kind of cold. It might be COVID, but I ain't testing. No, it's sinus. I don't know what you call it. Allergies, flu. I don't know. So if y'all get the flu, blame me during Thanksgiving, right?
Is there something funny about getting tested? very ignorant statements by, yeah, Kim Mulkey, who's supposed to be a leader of young women. And I don't care how many basketball games she wins, could care less. Her making a joke about COVID, and I'm not a sissy, and I ain't taking that test. First of all, why don't you learn how to speak English? That's number one. I ain't testing for COVID. Sound like an uneducated woman. What's funny about what's funny about over 1 million people dying of COVID? Is there something funny about that? I mean, I don't think so. You can tell me. I mean, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think there's anything funny about that. Listen, Caitlin Clark, there's some people on the right that tried to make this out to be some sort of black versus white thing. You know, and I think that's ridiculous, absurd. Angel Reese, to me, is extremely immature. You know, if you noticed, Caitlin Clark didn't do any of this stuff yesterday. She won with class. Caitlin Clark also dropped 40 yesterday. Angel Reese isn't 10% of the player Caitlin Clark is. Caitlin Clark's going to have a wonderful professional career, and she goes down as the, arguably, I mean, the stats prove it, right? The best offensive female basketball player in college basketball of all time. What's Angel Reese going to go as? Yes, she won a national championship. She's not even a top 50 female basketball player of all time. Probably not even a top 100 female basketball player of all time. There is no comparison. The reason why Angel Reese gets the amount of attention she gets, sadly, is not because of the basketball player she is. It's because of her behavior. Her behavior on the court, her behavior off the court. When she received an ESPY award, which I also thought was ridiculous because I don't think she deserved it, as she made her acceptance speech last year after winning the national championship, she did this stupid thing again. Because that's what people know Angel Reese as. The idiot who did this instead of Caitlin Clark, the basketball player. Listen, they're both competitors. We know that. And I'm not saying Caitlin Clark is an angel on the court. She's extremely competitive. She gets into it on the court with fans. I don't have a problem with that. And I don't have a problem necessarily with this. But when you accept an award, you're classless. When you go, like, what are you doing? When you bring by the way, she brought a crown on the court yesterday. There's images of it. She is an idiot. An idiot would do something like that. It's selfish. You're making it about you. And then we're supposed to feel sorry for her. Listen, I don't condone anybody threatening her. If people are giving her death threats, I don't condone any. That's terrible. But part of it she put on herself. Why would you bring a crown onto the court yesterday? How about just show up and try to win a basketball game and stop being selfish and making it about yourself? That's what Angel Reese did yesterday. Now, Kim Mulkey's not going to criticize her for that, but I think we all should be able to do so. I don't want people threatening her. I don't want people. That's horrible. Part of it is she did it to herself. And I'm sorry, just my personal opinion. Congratulations to Caitlin Clark. Okay? Congratulations to her. And, yes, I think they beat my UConn Huskies. I say my UConn Huskies. I grew up in Connecticut. Gino Auriemma's unbelievable coach. But, yes, I do believe Caitlin Clark's going to win a national championship. We'll see. We shall see. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, by the way. Can you all do me a favor? Or I'll speak like Kim Mulkey. If you really like this show, All right, that was my Kim Mulkey impersonation. It was terrible. Check out my YouTube page, which is @PTL Radio Show. Again, @PTL Radio Show. Subscribe to my YouTube page. Again, @PTL Radio Show. I actually put out a video yesterday on X. It went viral, debating all the MAGAs out there. It was about Donald Trump and his stock, the stock of Truth Social plummeting. And, oh, my God, I pissed off a lot of the MAGAs out there. You can see that on my X page. Definitely went viral. So check that out. And the Occupy Democrats page, we want you to subscribe, of course. So check that out as well. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Ileana Dropkin's going to be joining us. So we'll have some special guests tomorrow. I believe Harry Dunn is going to be joining us tomorrow as well, the former Capitol Police officer. So my thanks, by the way, of course, to Taylor Trice for joining us, for being a good sport and coming on, and even if you disagree with her. We will see you all tomorrow. We're going to take a 22-hour break. I need my rest. Have a great day, everybody. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this